years old. He was on drugs. He had been previously in trouble for sexually assaulting a minor. So now he's free from that. He's on drugs. He steals a car. The police get behind him. He doesn't pull over. He goes on a high-speed pursuit chase. He crashes into a tree. The car catches on fire. His girlfriend is in the passenger seat. She dies in the fire.
This is who he is talking about. This is Wesley Phelps. He's 28 years old. He was on drugs. He had priors for burglary and assaulting a minor. He led police on a high-speed chase, crashed his car, and his girlfriend died. And Judge Sybil Reynolds gave him 3 years. But on the same day that Judge Sybil Reynolds gave him 3 years, he gave Lakeith Smith 65 years. Lakeith is 15 years old. Him and some other kids were breaking into an unoccupied dwelling. The cops showed up, the kids ran. The cop shot Adante Washington, which is Lakeith Smith's best friend, shot Adante in the back 3 times. Due to Alabama's felony murder law, Lakeith Smith was sentenced to 65 years for the murder of Adante, even though he didn't hold the weapon or shoot anybody. This happened on the same day, in the same court, by the same judge. 28-year-old who's actually responsible for somebody dying. 15-year-old who's actually not responsible for anybody dying. 3 years, 65 years.
It was a campaign finance violation. The illegal aspect of this is the campaign finance violation. Not sleeping with someone, not having an affair, not all of these kind of like weird moral crimes that people are trying to legislate in the court of public opinion. If it's a campaign finance violation and that's what's against the law, then you have to compare it to what Hillary Clinton did and make a decision about whether or not people are treating these situations the same way. How did we frame the chance of lock her up when it was Hillary Clinton that was under the microscope a few years ago? And did we see that as anti-democratic? Did we see that as a kind of an authoritarian impulse to lock up political actors that you don't agree with? Yes, that's what the liberals thought at the time. And I just can't get past the hypocrisy of this, especially when, as you pointed out, there are much more.
Bragg's 34-count indictment against the former president. That indictment does remain sealed, so we don't know the specific charges. According to the Associated Press and their sources, though, this includes at least 1 felony. Trump's attorney said yesterday that he expects to make a motion to dismiss.
We will take the indictment. We will dissect it. The team will look at every potential issue that we will be able to challenge, and we will challenge. And of course, I very much anticipate a motion to dismiss coming because there's no law that fits this.
Would make a speech tomorrow at 8:15 after he is arrested and arraigned here in New York City. But if there is a gag order, wonder what will happen, because as you have seen ever since he was, we heard news of the indictment, he has been talking about the judge and it's a witch hunt and stuff like that. What's interesting is Donald Trump and his own lawyer are not on the same page, because Joe Tacopina does not refer to it as this guy as the judge who's going to preside over this one merchant. He says, I don't think the judge is biased at all. I think he's going to be fair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what the Trump attorney says about the judge in the case.
The judge is the same one who presided over the criminal tax fraud case against the Trump organization, and that cost the organization $1.6 million in fines. So we'll see. The president, you're right, does not.
I mean, the point is, this is election interference. We don't know how. No one really knows how this is going to play out. We just know that it is going to be a factor. We have crossed the Rubicon from people saying, on the left, President Trump should be indicted. It's not going to play out throughout the court system in less than a year. This political persecution is going to influence our politics every single day for the next year until a Republican nominee is chosen. And that is, by definition, election interference.
Would be nice. If the Schiff Pelosi gang can impeach Trump in order to cover up Biden corruption, why not actually impeach Biden for his actual corruption? The FBI and DOJ obviously are irredeemably corrupt. In the least, no more blank checks for the political enforcement arms of the left and the Democratic Party. Because the left using federal law enforcement to destroy their political opposition, it could be the end of our republic.
On flimsy legal grounds is not a new thing. And it's been long enough that we can admit, honestly, it seemed to have happened to Bill Clinton. That was gross, an offense against his wife. Was it really a crime? Probably not, certainly not by current standards. But But Republicans said it was, and that backfired spectacularly on them. So some have wondered what this is really about. Will the indictment of Trump by Alvin Bragg backfire on the Biden administration and the Democratic Party? Craig Kasheshian is a former Reagan White House pollster and strategist. He's thought a lot about this and seen the numbers. He joins us tonight. Craig, thanks so much for coming on. So it does seem like Donald Trump's poll numbers have risen ever since August, when his home was raided by the FBI and his wife's underwear drawers overturned. And this seems to have accelerated it. Are you certain a connection?
There is indeed. There's a nexus between Americans that are bullied by the government and increase in popularity. We saw that quite clearly, quite succinctly with the Clinton case. Clinton was really on the rocks for a good chunk of that presidency. And then when the Republicans started to gang up on him, it actually worked to his benefit in the end. Likewise, when Joe McCarthy back in the 50s started beating up on other Americans, Democrats started to surge. So we're seeing this as an exemplar of that general theory. Americans don't mind bullies, but they do not like to be bullied. Therein lies the difference. And Trump is now the beneficiary of that. The key thing here is that PR for Trump is like oxygen to a fire. So they may have given him the kiss of life. And we're seeing this in polling numbers